Well, joining us on this discussion tonight, Madhu Bhaduri, former member now of the Aam Aadmi Party, Atishi Marlena, spokesperson for the AAP, Lalita Kumar Mangalam of the BJP, and Professor Ashish Nandi, well-known sociologist and columnist. Madhu Bhaduri, let me begin with you. You've said very strong things today, that there is no space for women in the Aam Aadmi Party. You've also said no self-respecting woman should in fact stay on with the Aam Aadmi Party after recent developments. You felt very, very strongly about all of this.
Yes, I have already said it so many times now, repeated myself over the last 2 days.
Yes, carry on, we can hear you.
It's like this, that the party is not, the party speaks about, sings on about insaniyat. But actually when it comes to practicing insaniyat, where is the party? What does it stand? Its stand is that that any women, I suppose, don't deserve, they're not insan, and they don't deserve insaniyat.
Atishi, would you like to respond to that? You know, this is not really just a question of a resolution that Madhu Bhaduri wanted to bring being turned down. She was shouted at and heckled at a meeting. She says she left the meeting almost in tears. What went on?
Actually, first of all, I must say that I personally have also been trying to get in touch with Madhuji, and even on this program, I would like to tell her that we actually have the greatest respect for her. And we do want to actually carry on a dialogue and hear your concerns. And if anything that happened upset you, I apologize on behalf of anyone who might have heckled. But I would like to urge you, ma'am, that let's not conflate several issues here. The first issue is the question of the behavior of the people in the National Council, which upset you. Second is the issue of the role of the women within the party. And third is the issue that you raised about what the party should have done in response to a certain incident. First of all, the question of people heckling, I apologize on their behalf. But sometimes these things happen in party forums. As you also might have seen earlier on within the same day, when some resolutions were passed in the party forum, there was some dissent, there was some heckling, etc. These things happen in party forums. Number two, about the role of women in the party, I think I would strongly disagree in the sense that there is no space for women in the party. On the question that you raise of insaniyat, I think that in some ways, especially with regard to the women's question, the issue of women's security, be it what happened on 16 December, be it what happened in the case of Gudiya, those are issues that have repeatedly been taken up by the party. So I think that is probably an unfair allegation, but I do respect what your opinion is, and you have been a co-founder, you have been a founder member of the party, and a senior colleague who's been working with us for very long.
Madhu Bhaduri, if I may just come in at this point and read out really to our viewers the resolution that you wanted passed. The resolution stated that the National Council of the Aam Aadmi Party unanimously resolved to tender an apology to the women from Uganda and Nigeria living in Kirki Extension who were forced to submit themselves to narco tests at the behest of some members. If you can also have that graphic up on our screen for our viewers. On the night of 15th and 16th January, the party deeply regrets the humiliation caused to these women, and the AAP distances itself from any racist comments made by the party and apologizes for such comments, for any such comments by its members and supporters. The AAP is not racist. Now, that's the resolution you wanted adopted, but of course that was struck down.
May I say something, Ankita?
I can't hear.
All right, we'll just come back to Madhu Bhaduri, but Atishi, what really was so difficult about that resolution? This was something that had the support of some members of the Aam Aadmi Party. That's a point that Madhu Bhaduri has made. Would an apology not have given the Aam Aadmi Party, in a sense, a higher moral ground?
Ankita, I think I'd like to say the fact that, as I repeatedly said, that let's not conflate several issues. One is the issue of procedure within the party. There are procedures by which resolutions are moved within parties, and as was stated even yesterday, any resolution that goes to the General Council, the National Council, has to go by the National Executive. So that's the procedural question. The second question of an apology on this incident, I think what was needed was in some ways a discussion with Madhuji about what was our perspective on the incident. Because as we have repeatedly said, if you see from the footage of that video, that attack was not a racist attack. That attack, it was not an attack, number one. Second, no, just wait a second, let me complete what I'm saying. Let us not conflate the issue of the crime, which was why the police was called, with the community or the person who was doing it. And in fact, on the issue of insaniyat that Madhuji has raised, I would actually like to tell her that since we had concerns that this particular incident, whereby some people were arrested by the police, etc., had raised some possible racial tensions, we have actually been in a long dialogue with people in the African community. Just 2 days back, we had a large public meeting where members of the African community, members of the Khirki village, all actually sat across the table and had a discussion with each other about how one can live together in the Khirki area. So you
believe then that the Aam Aadmi Party does not need to give any kind of apology to the women in question?
I think the question of apology needs to arise in the sense if we say that there was something wrong that Mr. Somnath Bharti has done. That question,
said, because yes, he did in fact point out differences in a sense. He did make that statement about ye log hamare jaise nahi hai, a statement that
actually this is a statement that has been reported in the newspapers. But if you see the footage of the incident, what he is reporting, what he says is actually what he has heard from the villagers, that people have come to him with a certain complaint. He is actually going in that particular instance because of repeated complaints that are coming from the people.
Yes, I just want to bring in Lalita Kumar Mangalam as well. Lalita, we've heard the BJP today in a sense turn this into a political slugfest. Whether it was the protests here in the national capital or for that matter even Narendra Modi slamming the Delhi government.
Yes, the truth is that the Aam Aadmi Party, with all due respect to all the members in that party, has come in, the mandate given to them by the people of Delhi wasn't the promise that they would change things. But we have seen repeatedly in the last month and a half since they've come to power that violence against women has not decreased in Delhi. And I'm not just talking about their law minister who is reported to have done a lot of things wrong, but no apologies have been tendered by the party. And with all due respect to the spokesperson of the AAP today, individual apologies is not what we are looking for or what the people are looking for, ma'am. The people of Delhi expect AAP to deliver, and I'm not saying that in 2 months you can make India into Singapore, safer, etc. But the fact is that quite often and distressingly often, the AAP is behaving more and more like the parties that you keep condemning. You say that you're against the BJP and the Congress because we haven't looked after women's safety and a whole lot of other things. But what is happening today? The same platitudes that you used to criticize when other parties gave similar explanations, you're using exactly the same platitudes today. And to say that we cannot conjoin all these various issues, it's actually very impractical. They are all conjoined. Women's safety is not just about how you treat women on the streets or how you treat women of different races, ethnic origin, religions, etc. It's also about how women, senior women, founding members, for example, like the lady today who was on television before me, are treated in the National Council and the National Executive. And I beg to differ. Heckling should not be a part of any party's internal meeting. If it happened, for example, in the BJP, the people who are doing it would have really been pulled up and we would have openly said that this is not allowed.
Let me just take
to give an explanation like that is almost
Lalita,
like
thank you. You made your point.
Being an anarchist.
Madhu Bhaduri, just come back in on this. We lost that audio link with you. We've heard from Atishi Marlena of the Aam Aadmi Party saying we shouldn't conflate these issues. She's issued a personal apology to you. But when it comes to an apology in the form of a resolution, that's something, that they still seem to be quite resolute about not doing. You've today actually said any woman with self-respect should quit the party.
Yes, I believe so. I think that any woman with self-respect in the executive, there is none in the Parliamentary Affairs Committee, I understand. But if there is, and the few that are in the Executive Committee, for all these years, for all these weeks, 2 weeks, they have been sitting mum, or they have been made spokespersons to give the party line. What sort of, what sort of insaniyat is this that you treat people, women in the most inhuman way? You actually humiliate them in public through a mob which consists of members and supporters of the Aam Aadmi Party. how can this be justified that you don't apologize for that? And please note that to say that they have a procedure, it has to go through the executive, a resolution and all that is nonsense. The Constitution does not debar a resolution to be passed by the National Council, and if it does, if they have changed the Constitution, then they should have informed me. I made the proposal to them on the 23rd.
Okay. I'm just
and
going to
and the response I got was utter silence.
Okay, before I take that back to the Aam Aadmi Party, Professor Nandi, I want to bring you in. You know, whether it's the attack on the Arunachal youth, Nido Tanyam, or on the young women from Manipur that we saw on our TV screens today, you know, racism clearly stares us in the face in India today. Isn't it time that we faced it and perhaps, you know, amended our actions, our speech, and, you know, we were extra careful about it rather than brushing it under the carpet, which is what seems to be happening here?
Yes, perhaps you are right there, that we have to recognize, because I have seen this from my childhood, that African students who come to study in India are subject to a lot of racist comments and ridicules and so on and so forth. But that also applies to a lot of other instances. Every caste has a stereotype of other castes, and the other castes in turn have stereotypes of this caste. This is the way Indian society.
Does a party in governance have a role to play over here in perhaps setting a standard of discourse, a standard of behavior?
I think they were putting the whole issue on a very different kind of context. You know, there is a basic problem here, namely Aam Aadmi Party has grown out of a movement and has succeeded beyond expectations at this point of time. And naturally all kinds of people have flocked to it. Some have come for ideological reasons, some have personal ambitions, others see it as a good stepping stone to larger national parties, and so on and so forth. The fact of the matter is this, that democratic politics, competitive politics, not only involves the inter-party space, but also the intra-party space. If every party is a very diverse phenomenon in India, because ideology doesn't have the same status in Indian politics. Let me finish this. This is the important point. Ideology does not have the same place in Indian politics as it has in other societies. So that's why those huge jumps from CPM to BJP and so on and so forth. And in this kind of situation, every act of yours, for every idea, you have to fight it out politically within your party.
Fight it out politically within the scope that the party gives you internally. Madhu Bhaduri, respond to that. I can see you raising your hand there.
Yeah. I would like to make a point. Professor Nandi has said that every party has an ideology. Our party has been saying that it doesn't believe in ideology, it doesn't have an ideology. It will go from, it will cross its bridges as it gets to them. And that the problems and solutions will come from the bottom.
Every party doesn't say that. It says it has an ideology. But every party is ideologically very, very diverse. And most of them do not have an ideology. They are only electoral machines. You said, ma'am,
that this is the ideology of the Khap Panchayat.
No, but this party, I would like to make a point here. I think the priorities of a party define its ideology.
So suppose Medha Patkar and Mallika Sarawai doesn't heed her
women who are different from a different culture.
Madhu, would you then say, if Medha Patkar and Mallika Sarawai doesn't quit AAP party, that they are not defending the dignity of women, or they are soft on that issue? What would you say then?
No, I wouldn't say that. I don't know about Mallika Sarabhai, but I do know that Medha Patkar is not within the party.
Oh, well, yes, okay.
Okay, Atishi,
she's a supporter.
Atishi, very quickly.
Yes? So she's not quitting because she doesn't have to quit.
Can I say something here, please?
But in my case, I find
party. Anyway.
Okay, very quick last words from Lalitha Kumaramangalam. I'm completely out of time, and then I want Atishi to respond.
Yeah, the thing that I think Madhu is also trying to say is that she wasn't given an opportunity really to voice her opinion, and it was just ignored and brushed aside. So she's also made a point that AAP has no internal democracy, and I think she's quite right. The thing about looking after the interests of women and empowering women is that you also give them an equal access to decision making. If senior founding members of any party are not given due respect when they put forth an opinion, then what is all this democracy that AAP is talking about? If it doesn't start within themselves, how are they going to do anything to help women in this country?
Okay, Atishi, very quickly respond. Is there a shrinking space in a sense for dissent then within the party, as people seem to now think?
Actually, I would like to respond to your question about racism. I think this question about racism, the question about differences of prejudices or stereotypes, these are not going to go away by intervention from the state. These are going to go away by interaction in society. And scope for that interaction has reduced substantially. In fact, the very idea of Swaraj, of having Mohalla Sabhas and Gram Sabhas where people can come together, discuss, would actually create the space for the kind of interaction that is needed for social groups. And that is in some ways our central agenda, and our experience in Khirki village has shown that when people of different communities come together, there is a first time that a dialogue between the communities has actually happened in Khirki village.
You've already made that point, and very quickly, Madhu Bhaduri, last words to you, and I have to wrap this up.
Your own party for that internal democracy.
Yes, I would like to. I would like to make a point here. Can I?
Yes, please.
Can I? You see, when you talk of the Mohalla Sabhas and you talk of the grassroots, you must realize that there are many social conflicts.
Absolutely. But unless people have a dialogue with each other,
by the people there.
But ma'am, unless people have a dialogue with each other, these prejudices only harden with each other.
The party did not allow. The party did not allow a dialogue. Did it say? Did it say to the RWAs that they should talk to the ladies? Did the African ladies? Was there any dialogue?
Ma'am, there is
you have
two
a committee
separate questions,
which is
the question of
writing
prejudice and the
papers on
question
gender
of
justice.
crime.
I'm afraid we've been going around in circles, and this is something we will let the Aam Aadmi Party sort out within themselves. But I'd like to thank Madhu Bhaduri, Atishi Marlena, Lalitha Kumaramangalam and Professor Ashish Nandi for joining us on this discussion tonight. This, of course, on a day when an expelled MLA, Vinod Binny, has also given the Aam Aadmi Party a 48-hour deadline. He now says he has the support of at least 5 other MLAs, so it's going to be difficult times in a sense for the party ahead.